The journey to 82-0 has fallen short as the Philadelphia 76ers have been handed their first loss of the season at the hands of the Boston Celtics. But despite this, there are still some incredibly encouraging things to build off, including right at the top with the big fella showing that he is not done yet. I do want to dive into some notable takeaways from their first loss of the season and reflect on why I'm still feeling good vibes right now, why I'm still feeling positive about this Sixers team, that their will to compete, their fight still being put on full display to come back from 24 points down and give themselves a chance to win at the end with a messy possession that we will get into as well. So to dive right in, doing a highlight, the overall takeaways here was a 109-108 victory by the Celtics. Again, the Sixers did have two chances to win at the end, but doing a highlight, some statistical takeaways here. The big fella himself, a season-high 25 minutes in which he put in 20 points, 6 rebounds, had 3 assists there, and finished the game for the first time this year in the fourth quarter. Kelly Oubre Jr. continues to be the unsung hero of this Sixers team. Played 41 minutes last night, is up to third in the NBA in minutes per game. And by the way, 1 and 2 in that category are Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. But Oubre last night pouring in 17 points, 9 rebounds, shot 6 of 12 from the field there. Tyrese Maxey doing Tyrese Maxey things, man. It is really impressive, the leaps that he is taking, even with last night not being his strongest performance of the season. Still finishing with 26 points, a career-high 14 assists, which he tied that total there, as well as 8 rebounds that he added as well. Shot 4 of 9 from 3. And his backcourt partner, VJ Edgecombe, 40 minutes of play, 17 points, had 5 rebounds and 5 assists, looked the part of a seasoned veteran, that even in a game where it did not feel like VJ Edgecombe shined or had his best performance, that it did feel like last night was VJ Edgecombe's poorest performance of his NBA career to this point, still finishing with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, shot 7-11 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. My biggest critique for VJ is just go get it a little more, man. This is your team to an extent here. You can be such a focal point if you want to be, and I think he did defer a little bit too much for my liking. With that said, hit a huge 3 to cut the lead to 2 late in that fourth quarter. Also, while this team was sort of drowning offensively in that first half, it was VJ Edgecombe sort of making things happen in the mid-range at a level that I did not expect from him, and has not been, the book on where he thrives as a basketball player. So shout out to him for stepping up, seizing those chances here, and still an encouraging thing all around. Now, the reason that I really want to focus on this video here, it comes down to Joel Embiid, man. I understand a lot of you guys have written off Joel Embiid, and I'm not here to make the claim that this dude is going to be an MVP again, that he's going to be the full version of himself, that it is very clear that physically he has limitations that are just going to be the case at least for a little while here. But I'm thrilled. If you look at what he looked like in Game 1 versus what he looked like in Game 5, it is a night and day difference in something that we should still be feeling great about here. Is Joel Embiid the best version of himself? For sure not. But what I'm seeing with Joel Embiid is this is still a guy that can impact winning at a high level, and I was not certain that was going to be the case coming into the year. The thing that has changed in the calculus with Joel Embiid is just the players that you do have to have around it. We cannot count on this guy to control the glass the rate that you expect a center to. But if you pair him with the likes of a Dominic Barlow, a Jabari Walker, maybe an Adem Bona, if we can build up to that level of role for him, I see some incredible results from a basketball perspective here. And again, to dive into Embiid's full stats here and pull them up in the box score, that he did play 25 minutes last night, had 20 points, 6 rebounds, had 3 assists here, and he did ultimately come up short on that final shot. I hate that that was the look that they came up with. We should not be living and dying with Joel Embiid 26-foot heaves, given all the options that they do have offensively. And I did want to see what Nick Nurse had to say about that directly. And following the game that he spoke with reporters in this little excerpt coming from Kai Carlin of Sixers Wire, that Nurse said, quote, "It's got a few things going on there. It's got Joel going off on a flare screen," Nurse explained. "You got Tyrese coming off on a pin down and VJ heading to the basket. Tyrese and VJ got hung up a little bit, and then obviously there were a couple guys open. Q kind of didn't handle it cleanly. I think it wasn't great. Obviously, when you don't make those, you wish you could have done something different. But it's a good play, and we had all the right guys in there. Obviously, I thought they did a good job of handling it, holding us through it. We couldn't quite shake them to get free." And I think where this play went wrong, it pretty much exclusively falls on the shoulders of Quentin Grimes. I kind of shift this back to a Nick Nurse issue because I just don't think Quentin Grimes should be the guy in that spot. Quentin Grimes is a guy that is a very good basketball player, a guy that is bought into his role and is a huge part of the Sixers team. I don't think decision-making as a playmaker is anything that we throw near the top of his skill set there. That I would feel much more confident in Quentin Grimes getting a catch-and-shoot three-pointer, which he's already hit big shots in that role in a Sixers uniform, than I would for him driving, creating, and passing to others here. Put that ball in Tyrese Maxey's hands, utilize his pace, the way that he can get downhill, or even VJ Edgecombe's a guy that I probably feel a little bit better. And this also brings in the role for why Jared McCain is going to be necessary to the Sixers team. We haven't even reached the peak of what this team will look like offensively. And for what it's worth here, we do know, or we at least are beginning to see some encouraging signs that these two may be back on the court. That shout out to the real Mike KB here, who tweets, would guess that Paul George and Jared McCain will both be back for the Sixers sometime next week. The Sixers, which is kind of a new trend for them, have been very vague on any sort of commitments to any of these type of timelines here. But what we do know is Paul George has been playing 5-on-5 practice for a couple weeks now. What we do know is Jared McCain is back to full contact practice, is completely out of the cast that he had on, that he is working his way back and getting some pretty rave reviews from what he's looked like in practice to this point. Jared McCain needs to be a huge role of this Sixers team. And I understand that VJ Edgecombe still going to be here. Tyrese Maxey still going to be here. Quentin Grimes still going to exist here. Those two, and the top two talking about with Maxey and Edgecombe here, is not sustainable if they're leading the league in 1 and 2 in minutes per game. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is playing 5.2 more minutes per game than the other non-Sixer, or the first non-Sixer on the list of minutes leaders, which is Alperen Sengun of the Houston Rockets. And Ime Udoka has a similar rep for playing his guys too much. Maxey is young, he's energetic, he's got legs, and he has the tank to take that kind of wear and tear here, but I just don't think it is the wisest move from a long-term perspective to be putting that level of stress on him at this early stage of the season here. Just scaling him back a little bit is going to play huge dividends for what he looks like at the conclusion of the season. I don't want to get to the postseason and Tyrese Maxey, who's the Energizer Bunny out there, the guy that never runs out of energy, is sort of has an empty gas tank here. That can't be the way that things go. And even to stick with this same example, if that's Jared McCain getting downhill, asked to make a decision to play make, to kick it to Maxey, I feel better about his decision-making process than I do about Grimes either. The depth at the guard spot is a huge strength of this Sixers team, but we're going to have to lean into that a little more. I'm seeing a little bit too much Maxey and Edgecombe. They're great. I love them. I'm thrilled with what they look like on the floor, but it is just a rate of minutes played at a level that I'm a bit uncomfortable with at this current point. And for Paul George specifically, I understand that there's not a ton of Paul George fans in the comments right here, that it was a disastrous season last year. There is no way around acknowledging that, but tell me you don't feel better about a kick out to the corner, and it's Paul George shooting that three-pointer, as opposed to Dominic Barlow, to Jabari Walker, to Andre Drummond, who's so committed to knocking down these three-pointers. And for Drummond specifically, I don't know why every minute that Andre Drummond is playing is not just given to Adem Bona. That to look at the minute split last night for how things shook out here, that it was Andre Drummond playing 12 minutes off the bench, Adem Bona playing 11, and of course, that equation shifts when Joel Embiid is not there. And there's another back-to-back coming up for this Sixers team, so we're going to see a little bit for what the game plan is this. We saw the Adem Bona game, and he definitely is still raw in his skill set, but he's a guy who falls in the category, to me, of he's got to play through it. He's got to learn his mistakes. He's not going to refine himself sitting on the sideline right there. He's got to figure it out on the fly. He needs to actually make the mistakes to learn from them there. So for Adem Bona, shout out to you, making the most of the opportunity. And to finish off back on the Joel Embiid point here, for the Sixers to actually be viewed as contenders, which we'll see. We still have plenty of regular season to get into. What is this team actually? The things that I can rest positively on and continue to be excited about is the spirit they fight with, the competition level, the ways that they can score offense, the ways that they compete on an every night basis are things that are going to make this a fun team from start to finish this year. But when talking about what is their actual chances of making postseason noise, it all still requires Joel Embiid, man. That when the game slows down, when it is a half-court game, find me 5 scorers that are higher level than Joel Embiid in that specific setting. I don't think you can. This dude's going to roll out of bed when he's 50 years old and still be capable of giving you 20 in an NBA game. Even with him not being capable of getting off the ground at the rate, that jump shot ain't going anywhere. And if you pair him with the right piece, that still means a lot to me. That's something that I think very much is a huge factor in this Sixers team. So shout out to Joel Embiid for proving a little bit that he's got some left in the tank. He's already taken some massive strides from game 1 to game 5 for just what he's looked like physically. And we're still at the beginning part of this, that I do really believe a lot of the mobility issues are a little bit more mental than physical here. I think physically, he's working through it. And you see him flexing the knee a little bit. It's definitely bothering him to an extent. But I think a lot is trust. He had 2 blocks last night in ones that it's like, okay, you can make those plays. You just got to make sure that you believe in yourself. That if you're not confident in how you're coming down, you're going to be real hesitant going up in terms of blocking a shot with that. So I'm thrilled with this level of progress that I've seen from Joel this quickly, and I still see the vision for this team at its peak is Embiid in the half court with all these guys flying around. Jared McCain coming off screens, Tyrese Maxey running pin downs, VJ Edgecombe back cuts there, with Embiid as sort of the hub that can play make off each of these guys. And again, when speaking about why McCain is so necessary and all these other pieces, just did want to reflect on the leaders in touches per game, and did want to give a little shout out to Maxey for one of these. So when looking at the leaders in touches per game this across the entire NBA, Maxey leading the way at 109.8. Jalen Brunson is second on that list with more than 10 fewer than him at 97 there. And VJ Edgecombe third in the league at 94.8. Now that second number under there that you can see the time of possession and minutes. For Maxey, 7.7. The reason that I wanted to point this number out is Maxey's getting his touches and getting off the ball at a rate that I think just, breeds team basketball here. 109.8 touches per game, but 7.7 minutes. Take a look right below him with Luka Doncic, 93.5 touches per game, but 8.4 game minutes. A guy like Cade Cunningham, 94.2 touches per game, but 7.5 game minutes. Those are guys that do want to play a little bit more isocentric, that do want to control the ball, keep it in their hands a ton. That is not Tyrese Maxey, man. He wants to get off ball, he wants to run, he wants to play team basketball, and all of this trends the organization in the right direction here. So shout out to Maxey, who's absolutely delivered, been everything you could hope for and more out of the gate this season, but we do got to scale this back a little bit as far as workload in the short term. There's going to be a lot of moving parts this season. I think more are going to be added this week with Jared McCain and Paul George. 4-1 is an awesome start to the year, and we should be excited about it. I'm buying back in that Joel Embiid is shaping up to be closer to the version of himself that the Sixers do need him to be. Believing in this Sixers team for this level of fight, this level of compete to be legitimate and here to stay, and cannot wait to see where the season takes it. So hopefully you guys are along for the ride as well right here on Sixers Digest. If you have not already, make sure you are smashing that subscribe button to the channel, dropping a like on this video here, giving your thoughts in the comments. I'll be back talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.